Alright, so, um, I am going to do a small video, well, I'm assuming it's going to be small, on AED programs. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and put the link to the site that I'm getting this information from in the little description box thing. So, um, first of all, I want to explain what and I'm reading, so I'm not going to be able to look at the camera this entire time, but a public access, or, bleh. I'm not going to start over. Alright, so PAD is public access to defibrillation, which means making EADs available in public and or private places where large numbers of people gather or where people who are at high risk for heart attacks live. Um, I would assume that most of the time that would be old folks' homes, um, and, hospitals. Although I don't understand why. Okay, that didn't make sense. But the whole old folks' home thing makes sense to me. Um, an AED is an automated external defibrillator. So, yeah. It is a computerized medical device, and it can check a person's heart rhythm, and it can recognize a rhythm that requires a shock, and it can advise the rescuer when a shock is needed. And it uses voice prompts, lights, and text messages to tell the rescuer the steps to take. Um, they're very accurate, they're very easy to use. With a few hours of training, anyone can learn to operate an AED safely. And there are many different brands of AEDs, but the same same basic steps apply to all of them. And the AHA does not recommend a specific model. I don't really know who the AHA is. I'm assuming that's the American Health Association, because they do not specify, but it makes sense. Therefore, that's what I'm going to assume. It says, what is the AHA's position on placement of AEDs? They strongly advocate that all EMS first response vehicles and ambulances be equipped with an AED, which goes back to what I said earlier, hospitals. So I guess I was right. They would have them in their ambulances so that when they leave to go pick people up or save lives, then they get, I'm going to ignore it. Then they have the equipment to do so. They need to be equipped with an AED or another defibrillation device, semi-automatic or manual defibrillator. The AHA also supports placing AEDs in targeted public areas such as sports arenas, gated communities, office complexes, doctor's offices, shopping malls, etc. Shopping malls? Why would somebody have a heart attack at a shopping mall? What is it like? The prices, they're so low. Or like, so high. Oh my gosh. I don't know, but I guess people have heart attacks at shopping malls. It does make sense at sports arenas because people get so excited that their blood pressure rises and such. So when AEDs are placed in the community or a business facility, the AHA strongly encourages that they be a part of a defibrillation program in which persons that acquire an AED notify the local EMS office. A licensed physician or medical authority provides medical oversight to ensure quality control, and persons responsible for using the AED are trained in CPR and how to use an AED. Notifying the local EMS office is important because uh, they need to know where the AEDs are located in the community. In the event of a sudden cardiac arrest emergency, the 911 dispatcher will know if an AED is on the premises and will be able to notify the EMS system as well as the responders already on the scene. That way, if there are people there with you when you're having a heart attack, if they didn't know that there was an AED machine anywhere near, then you're gonna take longer to get help. Whereas, like, you're gonna have to wait for the ambulance to get there with their AED or whatever other defibrillation device they have. Whereas if you have, like, if they have the records of knowing where all the AED machines are, then they can be like, okay, I'm on my way. I'm the ambulance. I'm on my way. But before I get there, if somebody knows how to use one of these, they should do it because there's one right around the corner. And you're like, okay, and you go get it and you try to help the person so you'd have a better chance of getting better sooner. Um, the entire reason that a licensed physician or medical authority should be involved with the purchases of AEDs is for quality control. The licensed physician or medical authority will ensure that all designated responders are properly trained and that the AED is properly maintained. He or she also can help establishments develop an emergency response plan for the AED program, which basically it's like why you have fire drills and tornado drills and stuff like that. It's like so you know what to do in case of emergency, and you know that you're doing it right because you're being taught by someone who does, like, that's their profession, that's part of their job description, that's what they do. Like, you're not gonna like go to culinary school and get taught by mechanics. It doesn't make sense. Now, if there's somehow a mechanic that also has a culinary arts degree, then yeah, maybe you might get taught by a mechanic, but that's not my point, obviously. If they don't know what they're doing in that subject, they won't be the ones teaching you. And if they are teaching you, your school sucks. Sorry. Why should people who are responsible for operating an AED receive CPR training? Early CPR is an integral part of providing life-saving aid to people suffering sudden cardiac arrest. CPR helps to circulate oxygen-rich blood to the brain. After the AED is attached and delivers a shock, the typical AED will prompt the operator to continue CPR while the device continues to analyze the victim. In other words, you use CPR and AEDs simultaneously in certain situations. Some situations, like if you're choking or something, you're not going to need a defibrillator. That is, like, so hard to say. And I keep hiccuping, and this is horrible. But, like, if you're choking, you're just going to use CPR. But if somebody's having a heart attack, it's a good idea to use both the AED and CPR. If AEDs are easy to use, why do people need formal training on how to use them? It's not that hard to cook a hot dog, but you should be told how to cook it. I mean, you don't want to put it, you're like, oh, hot dogs are easy to make. I'll just put it in the oven for 5 minutes. You're going to explode your hot dog. Like, even the simplest of things, you need to know how to do them. I know how to read and write. I don't think it's hard, but kids don't know how to do it, and you teach them how, and then it's easy. People say, oh, it's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget, and it's really simple, right? But you have to learn first. It's the same basic reason. But that's my take on it. I'm going to go ahead and read what it says. An AED operator must know how to recognize the signs of a sudden cardiac arrest, when to activate the EMS system, and how to do CPR. It's also important for operators to receive formal training on the AED model they will be using so that they become familiar with the device and are able to successfully operate it in an emergency. Training also teaches the operator how to avoid potentially hazardous situations. Also, let's say I'm taking a math class. I'm really good at math. But then as soon as you're testing me on it, I get nervous about it. Okay, well, an emergency is the test. Like, you have to be so confident in your capabilities that no matter what the situation is, you know you can do it, and you can do it perfectly and correctly. Like, you could just execute it very well, like, top notch. Because it's like people who sing really well, but every time they get on stage, they get stage fright. Well, then they can't be a famous um, musician because they can't really do it. Knowing something and doing something are two different things. Can anyone buy an AED? AEDs are manufactured and sold under guidelines approved by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. The FDA may require someone who purchases an AED to present a physician's prescription for the device. Um, wow. AEDs cost. Well, okay, the price of an AED varies by make and model, but most AEDs cost between $1,500 to $2,000. That's ridiculous. I'm gonna have to go ahead and end this for now. So we'll call this part one, guys. And I'll go ahead and continue this later. But all this stuff on AEDs is actually really interesting. So I'm glad that the person who asked me to do this video requested it, because I actually never even, like, I know what they are, but I never knew what they were called until now. So it's a lot of stuff to think about. And it almost makes me want to, like, go get trained in this kind of stuff. Just because, like, just in case of an emergency where I have to help out someone. Like, I don't want to be a nurse or a doctor or anything, but... Alright, guys, my crazy friend's coming down the stairs. Bye.